Hello everyone, my name is Jana.
And I'm Michael.
And this is the Sleeve Chef. I want to welcome you guys and thank you for tuning in. I want to thank WMAR2 for helping us put this together and the marketing team from GBMC. We are going to be cooking up an awesome dinner tonight. And first, I want to introduce our very own Bradley Spain. He is one of our patients. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, Jenna. I had my surgery about a year and a month ago, February of 2018. I've lost a little over 100 pounds. I had the gastric bypass, the full bypass, and Dr. Bello is my surgeon. My wife had the same surgery about 6 months earlier, so this is a family affair thing for us.
Great.
Awesome.
And one of the things that was really exciting was, you go shopping in your attic, right? And I went shopping in my attic because nothing fit anymore.
Right.
So I was able to find a suit. I had a presentation about 8 weeks ago. I was able to find a suit that my mom bought for me when I got out of the Army in 1986.
Wow.
1986, and it still fits.
That's
oh
great.
Man, the style is like, forget about it, looks really awful, but it was the 80s, right? But it fit. I was excited, right? I was excited. I mean, come on.
You're Joe Pesci going to the courtroom.
There you go.
Vinny.
That's right, yeah, just didn't have the boots.
That was a good reference. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We're going to have you up in a few
cool.
to try out our shepherd's pie.
Can't wait.
All right, awesome.
Okay.
And I want to tell you and our audience, feel free to ask questions all throughout the program.
Yes, please. We
can
love
be about
your
the
comments and
food,
questions, guys.
nutrition,
Absolutely.
about our personal lives. No, thank you. All right, we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Okay, so tonight, what are we cooking up?
Yes, so we are preparing one of my favorites. So first of all, happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there, all Irish and non-Irish alike.
Yes.
One of my favorite dishes, being Irish, is shepherd's pie. It's a simple, delicious, hearty dish. It's a great post-workout meal. It's really, really good. But the challenge with it is it's usually made with very high-fat beef, very high-fat potatoes, and it's not very bariatric friendly.
Right.
So what we decided to do was prepare this dish where we use bison and we use butternut squash to make this bariatric friendly. So this is going to allow us to get that great starch from our butternut squash, as well as that lean protein from our bison.
And even,
super excited for this dish.
Yeah, and even though it's a little bit, butternut squash isn't considered in the bariatric world a starchy vegetable because it's a little bit lower in carbs than, say, like a sweet potato or a regular potato, but it is a little bit higher in carbs than some of your other vegetables.
Right, exactly.
So it does have a starchiness to it, but that starchiness is from pectin. It's actually a fiber inside of the squash,
right.
And it can help you to feel fuller longer. It can help regulate your blood sugar, actually.
Absolutely.
So when we think of higher carb things, they raise our blood sugar.
Sure, absolutely.
But this helps all the way
Not
through.
to mention that flavor profile is just fantastic. Get a nice little hint of sweetness. So we're really going to treat it like a mashed potato. So we're going to do that. We're going to mash that butternut squash that we have boiling right here. I actually went out and bought some chunks of butternut squash. I'm sure you've probably seen them available at a bunch of local big box grocery stores, and they're fantastic. I use them myself. Butternut squash is much more difficult to manage and work with for home cooks than traditional spaghetti squash would be. Question.
Yeah, can you use other hard squashes? Like an acorn squash or
Absolutely,
something
yeah, for sure.
That's a good question.
I would, if you want to use spaghetti squash, you could. You're not necessarily going to get that same sort of mash consistency as you would from an acorn squash or from a butternut squash.
Yeah.
But you could certainly go that route if you wanted to.
I guess if you put it into a food processor, anything could become like mushy, but
Yeah, but spaghetti
this will
squash
give
is
like a
gonna
heartier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
More of that, like,
Yeah.
if you're serving it to friends and family, people are thinking it's shepherd's pie, they're thinking mashed potatoes, they're thinking that mashed potato consistency.
Right.
Really is that main point.
And this is one of those things that you could cook in the beginning of the week, just a huge batch of it,
Oh,
and
yeah.
just have it for the rest of the week.
Absolutely.
And typically the family likes this kind of stuff because it's hearty. It's
Right.
kind of a feel-good food.
Exactly.
I do want to thank Tanya, Tova, Jennifer, Kiona, Megan, Jakia, Christopher, everyone for joining us.
Everybody is here tonight.
And do give us any of your questions or any of your comments if
Absolutely.
you want to know more about what we're doing here.
Absolutely, guys. All right, so let's go ahead and get cooking here. So we'll start off with our fresh garlic. So this is a head of garlic. Use fresh garlic. It is your friend.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and take our garlic. We'll take it. Notice we're taking the head top here, and with the stem facing down in the palm of our hand, and we're just going to roll real quick and crush our garlic.
You can feel real strong doing
You
that.
can, absolutely. I do CrossFit, so this
Yeah, of
was
course.
just easiest.
Well, and you were just saying how this is a good post-workout meal, and you know why? It's because it has the nice carbs from the butternut squash and the protein from the bison. And we're going to talk a little bit about bison too, because that's definitely an interesting type of meat. Much leaner than your traditional beef, so you might cook it a little bit differently, right?
Oh yeah.
However, pretty similar in nutrition. If you get like 93% lean beef, it'll be very similar to bison.
Absolutely.
So it's bison's still considered a red meat though.
So yeah, guys, so what we're going to do for our garlic next is, now that we've got our cloves that are broken up here, so we've got our garlic cloves here, we're going to go ahead and simply take our knife, take the back of our knife, take the palm of our hand, the heel of our hand, very carefully put a little bit of pressure, break up that garlic clove, and then it'll just pop right out, no skin on it. Very nice. Simple, very effective.
And pretty
Fresh
easy.
garlic is your friend.
Once you start doing it, it's very easy.
Absolutely. Fresh garlic is your friend.
Yeah, so my mom used to make a version of this. She used to use turkey, ground turkey, and it was very good.
That sounds great.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of my childhood, so I love this dish.
I love shepherd's pie. Me too. Such a simple, hearty, great dish for winter.
Yeah. And thank you, Tracy and Donna, for coming on. Terry, Darby, Don. Thanks, guys.
To everybody who came out to the Be More Healthy Expo, we want to say thank you again as well.
Yes, it was this weekend. We did a live performance, which was the first time I think we'd ever done that.
Yeah,
yes,
I'll take
it was very fun. We did a shrimp scampi with spaghetti squash and zucchini noodles.
We did, yeah.
Okay, and so you can find the recipes and the video for that on the GBMC Facebook site.
So one of the things here too, guys, you'll notice is I'm not really mincing this garlic. It's more of a rough chop. And the idea behind that is that we want to rough chop the garlic, because this is meant to be sort of a quote, like peasant dish. It's meant to be sort of rustic and hearty. So we want to go ahead and rough chop our vegetables. So we're not too concerned about precision with this dish for the vegetables themselves. So next up will be some yellow onion.
Please teach us how to cut an onion.
Sure.
Please.
Sure. So what we'll do is we'll take our onion, we'll sit it here. Again, keep your knuckles tucked in, right? We want the side of our blade to sit up against the side of our knuckle here. Cut it, root, and then the top off here. Discard those. Cut our onion in half. Now that you've got a flat surface on which to work, that's really important. There we go.
Do you ever cry from onions?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Don't cry.
I'll try not to. I make no promises. I'm a very sensitive guy, despite the tattoos and everything else. All right, so we'll do this one of two ways. We'll do this traditional culinary school way, which is we make incisions in our onion here. Then we come down the side. And again, you'll see I'm using my fingers as a guide here for the onion.
So you're getting a nice small pieces from that.
Exactly.
Yeah, look at that. Beautiful.
And then I'm coming back down with the onion here. I'm going to start crying in a second. I'm sorry.
And this is, this is the way that I wanted you to show us how to do it, because that's a really quick and easy way when you're in a time crunch.
Exactly. All right, guys, so we've got our onion here as well. As you can see, once again, I'm not really too worried about our precision here with the onion. This is more of a rustic dish, so you're able to allow it to be a bit more simple with the cut. All right.
And just to thank Sharonda and Samantha, Grace, Nancy, Tina, Tom, Christy, Leslie, and Molly for showing up. Thank you for the support. And just as for anyone that's just popping in, we are making a better for you shepherd's pie.
Yes.
We're using butternut squash. We're using bison as a lean meat, and we just started building basically the base of the meat.
So we're going to start sautéing our garlic, our fresh garlic here. A little salt, pepper, extra virgin olive oil. It's going to start smelling. Oh, I love the smell.
It's great. And just to give you a little bit of a comparison between the bison and the red meat, bison is about 170 calories, 6 grams of fat, and 30 grams of protein per like 3.5 ounces, which is usually about 18 or what you need for each meal, like so 30 grams of protein.
Absolutely.
And then for regular beef, 3.5 ounces is 260 calories, 17 grams of fat, and only 27 grams of protein. Wow. So the difference in the nutrition is quite large. And the saturated fats are much less in the bison. So, you know, a lot of people ask me about the risks of eating red meat because both of those are considered red meat. There are no risks for eating red meat like 2 to 3 times a week.
Right.
Those have not been shown.
Sure.
So you can
the only
safely
thing
do that.
The only thing I would say is that, again, know where you're sourcing from, considering what you're buying. It costs a little bit more, but that's okay. Like if it costs $1 more per pound, that's fine. I'd rather pay $1 more per pound for quality red beef, for quality ground beef, etc., than I'll just go to this local store and it's you know, now if it's on sale, it's a whole other different story. But remember, keep an eye on that quality.
Right. Yes, definitely.
You know, again, it's
don't cheap out on it, especially because you're not really eating as much as you would after surgery anyway.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. That's such a great point.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and saute our onions and our garlic. So I went ahead and added our garlic in first. Waited for it to start to perfume. The sauteing over medium heat. Again, saute is a culinary term. It's meant to cook with little to no color. So we're going to go ahead and simply, saute, sweat these vegetables. Wait for the garlic to start to perfume. Once the garlic perfumes, then we'll add the onions in next. And again, you'll see the onions are getting nice and translucent here as well.
Smell it too.
Yeah, start to
And
smell it. Start drawing everybody into the kitchen.
Yeah. And Leslie was asking what's in the pot. It's going to be our butternut squash that we're going to mash up.
Yep, so we've got our butternut squash cooking ahead of time. We were a little bit concerned about our time. So we wanted to get our butternut squash cooking ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then we also used that chunked butternut squash as opposed to going out and buying a whole butternut squash because it's just it's just much simpler to use.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it myself and I'm professionally trained. It's more simplicity. The quality is still the same. I bought mine at Harris Teeter. You can find yours at Giant. There's plenty of other stores that carry it.
Yeah, and it's right in the fresh
popularity
section.
Increases.
You can also get it frozen as well. So if you want to save a buck, get it frozen too. Now, Tova was asking, does this freeze well? So the whole dish?
I would caution against a whole dish. If you do want to make it a bunch of it and then freeze some of it, I would freeze them separately.
Separate. Okay.
I would not freeze together.
Okay.
I would freeze I'll put the ground beef, put it in a bag, seal it, freeze that. Potatoes, bag, press it over to get all the air out, and then let them cool, seal them.
Perfect. Great.
Well,
Good question.
So now we've got our onions and garlic. We've got a nice little saute here, so the onions are starting to get nice and translucent.
Yes, that looks beautiful.
We're going to add our carrots, and again, our baby carrots here as well. I like using baby carrots for this because, again, it's much, much simpler than actually having to sit there and peel a carrot out.
Yeah.
Plus, you can always eat them. They're a nice little snack afterward as well.
Yeah, especially for those that snack in the kitchen when they're making food if they get too hungry.
Absolutely.
That's a perfect snack because it's essentially, minimal calories plus vitamins and minerals.
Exactly. Plus here, guys, like I was saying before, you'll see I'm not really too concerned about the precision of my cut here. Again, it's supposed to be a rustic dish.
Yeah.
So
and that's kind of nice for those that don't really have, too much in the way of fancy knife skills. Okay, this is looking great.
Yeah, it is.
And are we going to make this in one big dish, or are we going to divvy it out into smaller?
So we are actually going to do this in this little dish I have here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to do a little one pot.
You know what I was thinking
you can
about?
take this and divvy this guy out as well. Yes.
I was thinking for ease during the week, if you wanted to put it into like muffin tin pans, that might be nice.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
And you can cook it right in there too.
You can.
Food for thought.
I like it.
And we have a question from Bradley.
Sure. You got 1 pound of bison. What is this supposed to? How many is this supposed to feed for normal people?
Sure. So you've got I would do like a 4 ounce, but this can be for a family. You can easily divvy this up because I would do about 4 ounces of 4 ounces of bison rather for each portion, and then divvy it up amongst your dishes, and then from there add your potatoes or your, in our case, our butternut squash on, and then you can just add that on as well because you end up with anywhere from 4 to 8 ounces of food. So it'll be plenty hearty, plenty filling. Again, it's a very filling dish with that butternut squash.
Yeah, so there's about 4 to 5 servings in here
exactly.
if you've gotten the surgery because you want to get about 3 to 4 ounces of the meat, to make sure that you're reaching your protein goal at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, I've been seeing a lot of people post-op and I need to make a point right now to everyone listening. Eat your protein first.
Yes.
Okay, and
Such a good point.
you could do this maybe 80,
Such a good
90% of the
point.
time. You know, you might not do it every single time you eat, but most of the time you should be eating your protein first. This is because other things will fill you up and you will not get enough protein in. And your stomach can only hold so much. And also, if you feel like you're hungry all the time, it might be because you're not eating your protein first and not getting full off of that. So that is the key to,
Yes.
That's almost like the secret.
Protein is your
Yes.
friend, guys. One of the things that worked for me when I was going through, and even now that worked for me, was I like to do lean protein, leafy green veg. And then I'll eat my lean protein first. It was a bit more difficult for me to digest that lean protein. I'd fill up on that, give myself a few minutes. I'd have my veg next. Then I'd be good.
Good.
I'd be satisfied. I'd be happy. I'd feel good. If I had a little craving at night, my favorite thing at night was those the Dannon yogurts.
Yeah.
That are just they're
the Light and Fits or- yeah.
exactly. Yeah, they were just. It was a fun little dessert. Still felt good. Didn't feel like I was cheating.
Yeah,
I was still
great.
right on target.
And, sometimes we will eat a little bit at night, and that's fine. But I have seen more and more people associating nighttime eating with relaxation.
Yeah.
So that becomes a habit versus actual real hunger. So I always ask, patients, are you hungry from here to here or are you hungry from here to here?
a great question.
Okay. So you have to kind of assess if you're actually really hungry. But a nice little treat every now and then is
Sure.
awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what are we doing here?
All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and saute our beef now. Our ground bison here. We're going to go ahead and saute our ground bison.
Okay. That looks
And
great.
You'll see I'm just breaking this up in the pan. So we've got our carrots, our onions, our garlic. Just saute this
All right.
guy out. As this is sauteing, what I'll do next is I'll go ahead and start straining out our butternut squash so we can start making that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. And Michelle, Lisa, Brian, Tiffany, TJ.
Hi, friends. Thank you so much
everyone,
for joining
thank you
us.
so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And if you're just tuning in, we are making a butternut squash bison shepherd's pie. So it is bariatric friendly. It's low in carbs. It's high in protein. All the good stuff, right? And if you put it into we're going to put it into a little bowl, and that makes about 4 to 5 servings. All right. And hello, Marika. Marika was our last guest.
Hi, Marika. Great to hear from you.
All right.
All right, guys. So we went ahead and drained out our butternut squash from this point.
And look at the beautiful color on
I know,
that.
right? Look at this. Guys.
All of those
look at
colors
this.
are called phytonutrients.
Look
Those
at
are
this.
all antioxidants, and and basically all those carotenoids, they're going to turn into vitamin A and antioxidants in your body.
Impress your friends, guys. Carotenoids. Google it.
Carotenoids, it's an antioxidant, and these have tons of other names if you want. Zeaxanthin, I mean, you can look them all up. They're
All of
very
them.
fun.
Yes.
All of them.
But seriously, look at this color, guys. It's very important. I always like to say people eat with their eyes. They just do. It's part of the reason the servers are in the restaurant and they carry their food here, right, as they're walking by tables. Is so that you're scanning that food as it's going by.
Very
you're going, wow, that
smart.
looks good. Wow, that looks good. Wow, that looks. So you're
Yeah.
literally window shopping as they're walking by with their food.
Interesting. And this is a great way to get in some orange or yellow vegetables
Yes.
because you're supposed to have about a half of a cup of orange, yellow vegetables per day. So this is perfect. A cup if you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So let our ground bison here cook. And then we've got our butternut squash. So as you can see, I've turned my heat off on my butternut squash. I've reserved a little bit of that cooking liquid. So we used water in our case. I've reserved a little bit of that water just to allow us to get some good consistency. We don't want it to be too dry with this dish. If you want to do more of a traditional butternut squash on a plate, then I'd recommend drying it out.
Okay.
Even going so far as actually put it in an oven at like 250 for 5 to 10 minutes to allow it to dry out.
So that's if you want just a mash?
If you want like a mash on a plate.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay, interesting.
Because the
And-
drier they are, the more they're going to absorb into them.
Yeah. Oh, and Marika was asking cauliflower for potato. You can do cauliflower with this if you want to.
Oh, yeah. It's so funny you say that because I actually went out and found some orange cauliflower as well. And I was just like, oh,
Okay.
man,
Yeah.
I really want to grab this because this
Yeah.
would be really fun to work with.
Interesting. Okay, so
Like it, Marika, like
yeah,
it.
you could do white cauliflower, you could do butternut squash or orange cauliflower or purple cauliflower.
I like it.
Purple cauliflower. Oh, and thank you, Marika. Okay.
All right, we're going to add a little bit of our beef stock here as well, our low sodium beef stock next.
And we're having a taste question. Is
Yes.
bison gamey?
Ooh, good question. So there's a little bit of gaminess, more so than traditional ground beef for bison. But nevertheless, I don't find it as off-putting as it's not as gamey as, say, like venison or elk.
Right.
Right. When you think gamey, my mind immediately goes to venison, elk, is where you get that sort of gaminess that people traditionally refer to.
And I feel like when you mix it with all of this,
Oh, yeah.
it's going to mask anything that you don't want to taste.
Absolutely.
You know?
So next we're going to add a little bit of sour cream here, a little bit of low-fat sour cream to our butternut squash.
All right. Oh, that's Daith. I see you. Hello. And Stella, hello.
We got our potato masher here. So what I love about this dish is, again, we're going to do everything right inside of our pan here.
Oh, that looks so good.
Doesn't it?
I would just eat that.
Right?
Now, if you are on the pureed stage right after surgery, or the smooth foods or even soft foods, you could take something like this and you can let it cool a little bit and put some unflavored protein powder into it, and that is a great meal right there.
Yeah, this is such a simple thing. Love butternut squash for that reason.
Yes, and that was low-fat sour cream that we put into that.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to let this beef reduce. I'm actually going to kick the heat.
Okay, that sounds good. Yes, Marika, I would eat it just as is as well.
Yeah.
Because it's so good.
Right. And that's the thing,
I can
guys.
tell already without even eating it.
We keep saying, people eat with their eyes first. Such a critical thing.
And it would be cool, since you have the bright orange, plating it on something like a white plate, so it can pop.
Absolutely. So you got our nice bright orange butternut squash here. I'm going to add a little bit more salt and pepper to this.
All right, nice.
We got our sour cream. And then we're going to go ahead and add just a touch of nutmeg here as well, a little ground nutmeg.
Tell us a little bit about your discovery today with getting herbs.
All right.
Okay,
I like it.
okay.
So, a little bit of ground cinnamon in there too, guys. So we're incorporating sort of very classic spices that are associated with sweet potatoes, butternut squash, etc.
So like nutmeg, cinnamon.
Nutmeg, cinnamon, right. Sort of very hearty flavors. You think of them like pumpkin pie, a lot of winter foods. But what I did today was did a little shopping, and you'll see a lot of traditional spices you buy, McCormick, etc. A lot of bigger spice companies. And those spices will be $5-6 for a container, right? So I was able to locate some spices in a different aisle, in the Latino aisle, ground cinnamon for $1.59.
Yeah.
Is what I paid for that cinnamon.
It's pretty amazing.
So keep your eyes open. Don't necessarily grab for the first thing. There's plenty of value out there available to you.
Yeah, the international sections are really amazing for some of those specialty items and for savings. So that's
Absolutely.
great. All right. So, let's see. How are we doing here?
We are doing well.
Okay.
Just waiting for our beef to finish cooking. Once that finishes cooking, we'll go ahead and grab our slanted spoon here, and we'll go right into our dish, and we'll start plating.
All right. And if anyone has questions, feel free to ask, even if it doesn't have to do with the dish. You're here with a chef and a dietitian. So
yeah, exactly, guys.
You have us at your disposal.
We are your friends. We
Yes.
have got all sorts of stock full of this information, any questions you may have.
Yeah.
And
I just want to make a little plug that anyone that feels like they need any extra help with their nutrition, even with cooking stuff, we can, tap into you for those resources.
Absolutely.
Make an appointment with me. I'm available at any time. You just call the front desk and make an appointment, whether you're pre or post-op. And I will say that even the support groups that we have after hours, from 6:30 to 7:30, once a month on a Thursday, on the last Thursday of the month, come to those. Even if you're pre or post-op, it doesn't matter, and bring family and friends. We have a question.
Sure. Can you use other meats besides the bison? You mentioned elk or venison a few minutes ago, but is there any reason why you can't use any other ground meat? What are some of the other lean type ground meats you could use?
Yeah, that's a great question. I like lean ground turkey, lean ground chicken. If you want to do poultry, if you want to do elk or venison, again, that's just going to be a nice high protein A bit gamier, so know what you're getting yourself into, but you can always use it.
Yeah.
It's a little harder to find as well. It's not as readily available as the more common stuff.
But if you want to go
for sure.
local, that's as local as
exactly,
you're going
right.
to get. And if you're going to do anything ground, I would stick to 90% lean
Yep.
or higher, just because of this high saturated fat content.
Yep. And again, so to that,
Yeah.
again to that point, when you're buying ground meat, you always want to look for, if it's 85-15, they're referring to the amount of muscle to the amount of fat that the butcher is usually using in their grind. So that portion side, the higher the left side, the higher that the muscle is, the more, the healthier it'll be because there'll be less fat in the dish itself.
Right. 90% lean means 90% lean muscle.
Absolutely.
And then the 10% fat.
All right.
And then Grace was asking if I have any hours after 5 o'clock. And unfortunately, the office does close after 5. But if you ever wanted to make a phone appointment after 5 o'clock, we can do that. You would just have to message me, that's all. Okay,
all right,
so
guys, we're going to go ahead and start plating our dish here.
beautiful. Now, there is a lot of sauce and juice in the pan already.
Yep.
Are we going to use that later?
I am. I'm going
Okay.
to use just a little bit. I don't want it to be too juicy.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and fill this up just about halfway. Here we go.
All right.
And then what I'll do.
And Jai, welcome.
Welcome.
We are cooking a better for you
Yes.
shepherd's pie.
Yes, we're cooking a
Hearty.
delicious bison and butternut squash shepherd's pie, guys.
Yes.
This is delicious. So, all right, guys, little trick for you here, right? Take your tongs very, very carefully. Use that. Pour very slowly.
And if you're like me, you can just take the spoon and
Or
do
you
it.
can use a
because
spoon, right? Yeah.
I know myself, and
There we go.
it wouldn't look like that.
We're just going to add a little bit. I just want to add just enough until it comes up around the edge here, as you can see.
What would you say the total cooking prep time and everything for this would be?
All in for this.
All in.
I would say, honestly, I'd probably say 15, 20 minutes at the most.
Okay. And because if you can prep this ahead of time,
Yep.
I would say that saves a lot of time. Like we're doing a lot of
Absolutely.
talking, at home. Well, maybe you'll do the same amount of talking at home, but we take a lot of breaks during this. So
Yeah, we do. All right, guys, so I'm just going to head and layer our butternut squash on top here.
Very nice. Okay. Sleeve Chef has all the skills. He sure does.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
you, Stacy.
All right, so we're just going to layer this on top, and you'll see I'm just going to spread this through.
And if you're just soon out from surgery, this is something that you can incorporate at the 1 month mark. I might not try the ground beef or bison or turkey or anything like that at the 3 to 4 week mark at the soft foods because it might not go down very well. It's hard to digest. So if you were going to have this, you would take the tiniest bites and you would have a papaya enzyme afterwards.
Yes.
But then at 1 month, you can probably go ahead and
Absolutely,
do that.
yeah, great point.
Okay,
All right,
good.
guys, so we've got our beautiful, I just popped this off with a little bit of green parsley here, a little bit of curly parsley. Again, that green adds a nice contrast to that beautiful orange from the butternut squash.
Beautiful.
Oh, so we've got our beautiful.
And the green parsley makes a really nice contrast
Yes,
to the yellow.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I like that, just a touch of salt and just a touch of black pepper to the top here.
Yeah. And if you have high blood pressure, anything like that, you would want to use maybe a Mrs. Dash or not use any of the salt at all and see if you like it.
Right,
you know?
absolutely.
Because
Question.
Yes.
Is that traditional curly parsley, or is it Italian parsley, or does it matter?
Curly parsley is actually
Yep.
what I used. Yep, but you can use Italian parsley. That's just a matter of preference.
Okay, great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you, like we said before, you can put these in little muffin tin if you
Yeah,
want to
definitely.
have them for popping out for the wreath.
Yep.
And then also, do you ever put that under a broiler?
Sometimes you can put it under a broiler. You can also bake it for a bit longer as well. You can bake it for 10, 15 minutes afterward. People typically put it under a broiler. People usually, I've seen, put cheese on top and then put it under a broiler, melt the cheese down, etc. But everything is already fully cooked at this point, so you're not really cooking anything.
Right. It's just to get the browning on the top.
Exactly.
All right. So do we want to
Let's
check
eat.
this out
Yeah,
and
for
try
sure.
it?
Come on up.
All right, Bradley, we're going to have you back up. And I think, are we just going to eat right out of that? Here you
so.
go. Here's the napkin.
Outstanding.
Okay. You can take that.
Thank
There's
you.
that.
All right, grab a napkin as well.
Yes.
That smells
Yum, yum. Thank you.
delightful.
Here you go.
Really good.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Take it there, friends.
You go first, please.
I'm going to go all the way down and get a little bit of everything.
Please,
Our
yes.
guest of honor.
Yeah. There we go. All right.
Okay, great.
Wow, you can really taste the nutmeg and the cinnamon.
Oh, yeah.
That's really good. Bison is nice and it's got a good mouthfeel.
It tastes like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Very comfy, cozy.
Right?
Got it all and everything, sure. Oh,
Yeah.
and there's the garlic at the very end. That's nice.
Yeah,
That's
and you
very
can tell
nice.
it's a little leaner, you know, so it's not as
Absolutely.
like, but it's kind of nice because the fat isn't coming out,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So, beautiful dish. Thank you
Yeah, guys.
so much.
Super, super simple,
Yeah.
light, refreshing, delicious. So what we made this evening, guys, was a beautiful butternut squash and bison shepherd's pie. This is a really fun, healthy alternative. Cook it for your friends. Cook it for your family. Offer them as this is an option for them.
Cook it for the week.
Cook it for the week.
Yeah,
exactly, guys.
this is great for
beautiful,
after a workout,
lean-
right?
Exactly. This
Yep.
is great after workout food. Trust Jana and I, we're both workout
Aholics. I
aholics.
think so,
Yes,
maybe.
I like it.
Yes.
I like it.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us, and thank you to Bradley, our guest.
Thank you.
This
Yes,
was
thank you.
awesome.
Thank you very much, Bradley. Appreciate
did
it.
it.
Yes, and we will see you guys next time. Thank
Yes.
you.
Bye, guys. Have a great rest of the
Bye,
evening.
buddy.
Thank you again.